Okay, so many of you have requested on the channel that please make a video on how to prepare for EDIC. So there are a lot of videos and blogs available on the net on this topic, and they are very good. They have helped many students in the best way they can. But because I recently cleared EDIC, so I thought of making this video based on my personal experience, what worked for me, what not worked for me, and I thought it may be useful to you people also who are thinking of, or you want to get more information, or you are preparing for the EDIC recently. I didn't make a PPT sort of lecture for this because I wanted to be more natural and interactive. So if you have any doubts regarding this video or queries which I told in this video, you can just post in the comment section, and feel free to do that. Secondly, I have noted down all the points on the paper so that I don't miss, or I would say I would cover all the points which came in my mind while making this video. So why we are talking about EDIC, why we want to make a video on how to prepare for EDIC. Sorry if I fumble in between, just forgive me for that. So why we are making a video? Basically, EDIC means European Diploma in Intensive Care, and it's being conducted by European Society of Intensive Care Medicine. So this exam has got a very good reputation across various nations like UK, even in the Australian part, Australia, New Zealand, and many other Gulf countries or like that. In fact, India also has a very good rapport for this exam. So basically it uplifts your profile, and for those who are thinking of going abroad, you need to check with that country how much weightage this exam has, and that's why these exams give you a little edge above others for applying for intensive care in those nations. You need to cross check with that country and their council regulations, but it's a good exam. Even if you are thinking of just preparing, if you are giving this exam, your knowledge uplifts very well. You need to read so much that what happens that while preparing for that exam, your basic knowledge gets uplift. So on and all, it's a good exam, good repo. That's why we are thinking of making this video. So EDIC stands for European Diploma in Intensive Care, and it is conducted by European Society of Intensive Care Medicine. So if you want actual details about this exam, you can go to ESICM.org. Now, when this exam is conducted, so basically it has two parts, part 1 and part 2. We'll discuss both of them in detail, and both part 1 and part 2 are conducted twice in a year, the spring season and the autumn season. So suppose part 1 is there, so part 1 will be conducted somewhere around in the month of April, and then in the month of November. So two times it is conducted. Same part 2, but part 2 gets a little later. It is somewhere around in May, and there obviously around November, depending upon the dates. You need to go to the ESICM.org website and get the actual dates of that particular exam. Now, for every exam as of now on September 2024, for every part, means part 1 and part 2, 3 attempts are allowed for each. Means like for EDIC part 1 you can give 3 attempts, and EDIC part 2 you can give 3 attempts. Now the catch is, if somebody gives a part 1 exam, clears it, then he or she will be able to register for the part 2 exam, and then he or she clears part 2, they will be awarded EDIC diploma. Now suppose somebody who is giving part 1 exam and it doesn't clear in the first attempt. So for part 1 you need to wait for 1 year to give the another attempt as of now. So means suppose somebody gave in the April and didn't clear, so he or she cannot give in the November session. They need to give next year April or later. So you need to wait at least for 1 year to give the repeat exam. For part 2 actually it was not written clearly, but what I could make it that for part 2 it is 6 months. Means if you are not able to clear in the April or May session, you can give in the November session depending upon the slots. So but this may change, but part 1 it is 1 year, and part 2 which I could make out is 6 months. So if you clear, fine. If you not, for part 1 you need to wait for 1 year and then give the exam. For part 2, if you clear, well and good. If not, give 6 months later. This can change, but you need to check on the website. Now, who can give this exam? So basically eligibility. So those candidates, those who have cleared their medical graduations and post medical graduation, post internship, means their council registration, they need to have 24 months of training in intensive care medicines. So you need to show or submit a proof that you are trained in 24 months working in intensive care unit. So you need to have certificate for that, or if you have done a exam like FCCM exam, which is of 12 months duration. So you can upload that certificate and get because it's a training for 24 months, so you can get the eligibility. So on and all, after council registration, after clearing of medical graduation, 24 months of experience is required, and you need to submit a proof for that. So how to apply for this exam? So basically, you need to go to esicm.org website, create an account of yours there. And once you have created an account, there is a section called My Profile. And in that EDIC profile, My Profile, you need to fill that profile, fill all your details, your graduation details, your months of training in intensive care, which is 24 months, which is required as of now. And you need to submit the proof of that. For that, it can be, you can get your college letter, or you can get your hospital letter, or we can give you a certificate which you have done, any fellowship you have done, you can upload that. So you have completed your profiles. These profiles remain like that only. Now what happens when you start applying for the exam, means when the registration for the exam starts, this profile will come helpful. So you need to complete this profile part beforehand. If you have any doubts regarding this filling of the profile, you can ask in the comment section. Now after you have completed your profile, then there are two things. The registrations for each session opens a little before, 3-4 months before. Like for the April session of this year, means 2025, which is coming in January, they are opening the registration, and the same for if they are for part 2, they will open 3-4 months before. It is, the dates are available on the website. Now this is the crucial part. The two things you need to remember in this. Now ESICM has a membership of their own, and the fee structure, means the fees is different for members and different for non-members. So suppose you are a ESICM member, how to get it we'll discuss. Suppose you are a ESICM member, so the fee for exam will be a little less, and also you will get certain benefits. But if you are not an ESICM member, still you can apply for the exam, but the fees will be little high, and there will not be certain academic benefits attached with this exam. You will just get the opportunity to give the exam. If you are not an ESICM members, only the exam fee will be high and no other benefit. While if you are a member of ESICM, then you will have the fee benefit also, and certain other benefit we'll discuss. So the registration starts a little earlier, 3-4 months earlier from the final date of exam, and you can go to the website and check the dates there. Now how to become an ESICM member? So their membership runs from 1st January to 31st December. So if you apply, like if in September I will apply, my membership will remain till 31st December. And now you are applying for the April 2025 exam, so your membership will not be validated there. So basically your membership should be active at the time when your exam is there. Like if I am a member now, which my membership will expire in December 2024, and I am giving the exam in April 2025, so my membership will not be active till date. So when you apply for the exam, it will charge as non-members. So what you need to do, you need to renew a membership, which will make your membership active till December 2025, and then you can apply, and it will take you as an ESICM member. So this is the difference. Now the benefit of taking ESICM membership will be, you will get a study module which is called ACE modules. With that, I'll come to that later on for preparation. So this is an added benefit which you will get by taking the membership. If you are applying as a non-member, you will not be able to access the ACE modules of theirs for preparation of EDIC. While for if you are a member and applying for this exam, you will get those ACE module access like that. Now, before jumping on to how to register, as a member and non-member. One more important thing, the registration for these exams is little tricky. They are one of the, I think, one of the very crucial phase of the exam, because the slots are less and they get filled up very easily. So suppose the registration starts on 7 January, which is scheduled for next season. The moment the slots open, within 4, 5 or 6 hours, they all get filled up. So what you need to do is, you need to remember the date, be alert with your internet connection, be on time on registration, and get the slots for the exam. Sometimes your network gets disrupted and you are not able to fill the slots. It happened with me one time. And there is a queue system nowadays. When you enter when you open the website, you are allotted a queue, and then according to the queue you get the registration. So be vigilant on the registration days, and it is in the European time, and you need to adjust according to your country timing. So be vigilant for this exam registrations, because the slots open and closes within 4 or 5 hours on the same day. So this is very, very important for you. Now we have said that if you take a membership, the fee will be less, and there will be ACE module assess. And if you don't take, you will be only able to give the exam, but there will be a little higher fees. Now, once you have registered for the exam and applied for the exam, what happens? You have paid the fees, the fee structure, you can go to website. What happens then? Your profile, which you will see, which you have filled up earlier, in which you have submitted 24 months of what you say, intensive care experience. Now, once you have paid the fees for the exam, now your profile will get into scrutiny. They will check it, and if found all the things are correct, they will get the profile validated, and you will be eligible to give the exam. So until unless there is a gross mistake in your profile section, 90-95% of the time it gets validated. If you have submitted your graduation details, if you submitted your 24 months of intensive care experience, it will get validated. If not, you can always connect to them. But once you have paid the fees, after that they will validate your profile. So make sure you fill the profile very correctly. Now coming to actual exams, how to prepare. So this is all about the fee, the how to register, how to make a profile, when to apply, like that. So part 1 and part 2. So we have two parts exam, part 1 and part 2. Part 1 is MCQ based, and part 2 is an oral practical sort of thing. Now before COVID, these were physical exams, part 1 and part 2. But when COVID struck, for some period of time it was not conducted exam, and then they adopted a online pattern for both part 1 and part 2. Now whichever part of the country you are, it's a proctor based exam, and the proctor checks your whole room and all the requirement which they have on the day of exam. And when they're satisfied, the timer starts, and it's an AI based something which monitors you, and then the exam is being conducted from wherever. Till what time this will be conducted online, we don't know, but as of now it is conducted online, both part 1 and part 2. So if you are thinking of it from a country where going to Europe is not very feasible for you, grab this opportunity and prepare for this exam, so that you can give it online nowadays. So they will update the information when it will not be online, but as of now it is online. So part 1 and part 2. So part 1 is basically an MCQ based sort of thing, and part 2 is a oral sort of thing, which is a practical sort of thing. So we'll discuss the part 1. So part 1 is a 3-hour exam in which 100 MCQs will be asked. So 3-hour exam, 100 MCQ will be asked, and single paper. So what type of MCQs asked? 5 options will be there. So they have two sets of question. One is type A and the other is type K questions. Type A questions are best of 5, and type K questions are true false type. Means in type A there will be a question and there will be 5 options, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you need to choose only one of them. Part 2 will be there will be a question and there will be 4 options, not 5. 4 options, and you need to check true, false, true, false, true, false for that. Suppose they say about pulmonary embolism. So there will be 4 options related to pulmonary embolism, and you need to select true, this statement is true, this is false, or this is true, like that. So this is the way. So there is no negative marking as of now. So for type A questions, you need to just click on the best of 5 option, and for type K, you need to, for every option you need to select true, false, true, false, true, false. So for best of 5 you will be awarded, if you are correct you will be given the mark, but there is no negative marking for the false answer. But how the marking is done for type K? So suppose a question has 4 options. So if you have selected true, false, correct for all the 4 options, you will be awarded full marks. Now suppose 3 options you have correctly mentioned true, false, and the one you have left. So out of 4 you have marked 3, you have made 1 wrong, so you will given 50% of the marks. But if you have corrected 2 and falsely written and the other 2 are wrong, means 2 true, false you have corrected right, and the 2 options are not correct, so you will be awarded 0 points. So if all 4 options correct, full marks. If not, if only 3 options are correct, one is wrong, 50% marks, and then if less than that, no marks will be given. So this is the way it is. Now out of 100 questions, how many will be type A and type K varies, but most of time type A questions are maximum, somewhere around 75 to 80% times are the type A questions, and out of those 15 to 20% of the questions are type K questions. This varies, but major bulk is of type A questions and less bulk is of type K questions. So you can expect 15 to 20 questions of type K and rest as type A questions. So 3-hour limit is there, and if you have prepared well, usually the 3 hours are sufficient for that, for giving that exam. Now anything regarding these options, I think it is fine. Now how to prepare for this exam? So we have how to prepare for this exams. So earlier we have discussed that if you are a member of ESICM and you start preparing for EDIC 1 examinations, you will get an access to ACE module, ACE modules, which are the topics, which are the study modules which is provided by ESICM. So these are very good modules, and when you go through the literature of those modules online, they are available online, and when you read them, it will give you an idea what they want you to know, basic bare minimum what they want you to know in that particular exam. So they obviously we have textbook we'll discuss, but those module gives you an idea what is expected out of you, what bare minimum knowledge you need to know, what are topics you need to know, respiratory, GI, neuro and trauma, many topics are there, and there are modules. Most importantly, at the end of these modules there are certain questions which are asked. So these questions give you an idea what is expected, how the questions are framed, what they want from that particular topic, how the questions are asked in the exam. So this they give you an idea. They are not getting repeated, but they give you an idea that this was a topic I read and these type of questions they have framed. So I get to know which type of questions they are asked. So remember, in this sort of exams, like whether it's an EDIC or FCCM exam or EFIC exam, so basically it's not about solving MCQs, it's about getting the concept right. If you are thorough with the concept of that particular exam, thorough with the topic, you will be able to solve. So they expect you understand the topic completely, and based on that you are able to solve the questions. And remember, if you have read the topic thoroughly, you will be able to solve the questions in an easy manner. And now, so my recommendation will be, because what helped for me, I reviewed many books, I looked for many textbooks, some were useful, some were too much lengthy, but my recommendation will be, I found these modules very helpful. So while I went through these modules, they are fantastic, and they were in a simple language. At times, you need to uh, go deeper into certain topics from certain textbooks, which is obviously required, but they are good modules. So some may say that it takes time. It takes time, or reading all those modules is not very easy. But if you are consistently reading it for 2-3 hours a day, or giving a regular time, believe me, these modules will help you a lot, and it will strengthen your knowledge. So if you ask me how to prepare, so start by solving the ACE modules. Read the ACE modules, solve the MCQs, and then you should start preparing for EDIC 1. Books, textbooks. So there are 3-4 category of books. One are MCQs books, one are theoretical books. So first talk about the MCQ books. So the book which I started was the book written by Dr. Gunjan, and she's a fantastic teacher. I'm very lucky to be have in connect with her. So Dr. Gunjan's MCQs in critical care are there. So if you want, I can post a link or post a list of books in the description or in any of the comments. Just I have noted down. If you want to post in the comment, I'll post the links also of those books. So Dr. Gunjan's book is there, MCQ in critical care. So this book is somewhere written in 2016 or 17, but it's a good book. What this book will help you, this MCQ book, it will give you an idea of flavor of the exam, flavor of solving MCQs. Have a book, this book with you on the rounds or in the ICUs or wherever you are. Solve 10-15 questions startingly, and then increase the number to 40, 50, 60 a day, and then it will help you out in getting a flavor of the exam. Two very much standard books of MCQ which are recommended by almost everyone is Steve Bennington, Part 1 and Part 2 MCQs in critical care. To be very frank, I just went through the first one, and that not too completely. I go through the ACE modules completely. I went through this Dr. Gunjan's book completely, but I could not have the time to finish the Bennington's both the book. But the beauty of this Bennington's book is those who are starting early, this gives you a very good idea of how the questions are asked in the exam. While the MCQ of Dr. Gunjan's book will give you an idea of how to solve the MCQs, it helps you to build up the concepts because the explanation is good. Here in the Bennington book, you will get a flavor of the questions, how they are asked. So you can utilize those flavor, how the questions are framed this way. So these are 2-3 books. There are one book which I will recommend, not the MCQ book. Now the theory books are coming. So one book which I will recommend, and it helped me a lot, is this is a Oxford publication. It is Revision Notes in Intensive Care. It's a green and white cover is there, and it is very good book. Now what this review, but there is a caution. This book has a lot of printing mistakes, and also now it has been old. It was there, came out in 2016 sort of thing. So this is a little older book, but the chapters which are written are very good in easy language, and they have covered topics in not great detail, not very short, but they have made the notes. They are actually notes, sort of revision notes, and they are very beautifully written. So if you use your knowledge, which you do work in intensive care, and if you lead a little more for clarification, this book will serve you a single pivot where you can, from there, you can go deeper into different topics. So revision notes in intensive care is a very good book. I think it is one of the most recommended book which I would say to read for somebody who's preparing for any critical care exam, whether EDIC, EFIC or FCCM. So like that, revision notes in intensive care for Oxford publications. It's little old book, newer edition is not coming till date, but I hope it comes. Then theory books. So the one book which is, I think everybody should have with them in the ICU, not for the exam but for the clinical, is Washington Manual of Critical Care. It's a very fantastic book. It has got algorithms in it. So you read a topic, you go to the algorithm, and it will be very helpful. Now there are certain theory books. Now for preparing EDIC, I think these to going into details of these theory books is not necessary. You just need to review certain topics which you find it difficult. Only then you will go into details. So What are the books are there? These are the O's Manual of Intensive Care, Textbook of Critical Care by Louis Vincent, Irwin Rippey Textbook of Critical Care Medicine. Then you have Hall and Wood Critical Care book. You have Oxford publication Textbook of Critical Care. So these are very detailed book. They are written. They are at the back also, but they are very heavy books. And for preparing the exam, you don't need that. What you need is you need a strategic approach. You need to read ACE modules. Some may find it lengthy, but they are very useful. Also, the questions MCQ at the end of those ACE modules are give you a flavor of how the exam questions are framed. Then start with your revision notes in intensive care side by side. It will definitely going to help you. Then you have MCQ books of Dr. Gunjan, Bennington's part 1 and 2. So these will give you an idea how the exam is asked. It's not about solving lots and lots of MCQs. It's believe me, it's these exams like EDIC and other. It's not about solving lots of questions and then coming to the exam that some questions will come. It's about the concepts which you know. If you are reading it, you are working in the ICU, you will find it easy to solve the exam. Now, the most important point, the mock test. Whether we should give practice mock test or we should have proper learning modules from any other resources are there. So earlier they were not available, but when I started preparing in this for this exam and I came across Dr. Gunjan's book, I requested her to have a course on this because she's a very good teacher. So she started one platform which is called Criti Learn, CRITRILEARN, critilearn.com. So on this website, they have made the courses for part 1 and part 2 both. So part 1, they have given 8 modules sort of mock tests, neuro, respiratory like that. And they have also given complete mock test, 1, 2, 3 mock test, 1 mock test, which covers all the topics. Anyway, I'm not telling you to go and just buy these courses, but it helped me. Why it helped me? Because just preparing all the stuff and going and sitting in the exam makes you apprehensive or makes you for sit long 3 hours and then give an exam. At times you may find it difficult for the first time. So what these mock tests do is make you a habit of sitting for 3 hours, giving that exam, coming into the orientation, coming into that mode of giving the exam. In 3 hours I need to give this exam. You find out that you are doing silly. What I was doing is I was doing silly mistakes, like I wanted the option C to be clicked, but I clicked B. I wanted to put this as a true, but I make it as a false. So I was knowing the subject, but because of the silly mistakes, could not score in the exam. So on this Critilearn website, we went through, I gave mock test, and these mock tests helped me to prepare for the exam. So there are other 2 or 3 other resources are available, but I have not have much experience with them. But obviously this one platform, because I know personally and the teacher I know personally, and I have seen the evolution of this platform, that's why I have. But you can go through, but make sure you go through mock test before the exam. Any platform you choose, whether this is Critilearn or any other platform, if it is available, you need to go through mock test before giving the EDIC 1 exam, because this will give you an idea. This will make you practice for sitting for 3 hours continuously, giving those solving those 100 MCQ in a stretch, because the attention span nowadays, because of the Insta, YouTube and all, is so short that after 10-15 seconds you start getting distracted. So this brings you into the mode of giving the exam. So ACE modules, revision notes in intensive care, MCQs by Dr. Gunjan, Bennington, and then this mock test by any platform. My personal choice would be always Critilearn. Then on the day of exam, what happens? On the day of exam, I have already told you that there will be proctor based exam. They will check your computer and all the rooms and all those things. They will send you the details, and if everything acceptable, they will start the exam. One more important tip, so part 1 and part 2 also, there happens that at times light may go away while you are giving the exam. It happened with few of the candidates, so internet gets shut down, and because of that the exam got disconnected, and you cannot give any excuse to any exam which you are giving. So what you do, two things can happen. Either you connect your laptop or something with your mobile internet so that it remains connected for the longer period of time, even if there is no light, it connected, or bring small UPS. It is very cheap for your Wi-Fi router. I have with me also. So this Wi-Fi UPS, small UPS, gets connected to your Wi-Fi router and gives you a hour or 2 hour or 3 hour backup depending upon the strength of that UPS. So bring a UPS for your Wi-Fi router of modem of your Wi-Fi, which give you a backup of some 3-4 hours. So even if there is no electricity shutdown, the internet connection will not get disrupted. So this needs to be taken care. Now one more thing, both for part 1 and part 2, ESICM by themselves have a preparation course. So they will, once you have registered for the exam and your profile is being validated, you will receive a mail on your email that there is a preparation course for part 1, and even if it will be part 2. So there are plus minus views regarding this for all the candidates. Some may prefer to attend, some may not prefer to attend. But the point is, remember, these both preparation courses are not telling you regarding the exams questions. They will not give you the exam questions or these sort of questions are there or not. They will give you what is expected in the exam, how you need to prepare, what we want from you, sort of things, which is, if they are first time givers and you have no money constraints, you can give, you can attend it. If you have a money constraint, even if you skip that, not a big difference. Your colleagues can tell you that so and so things, what they give you an idea that the focus is on how the exam pattern is there, 3 hours exam, and also you need to focus on the concept rather than the MCQs. They will give you connect with 2-3 people who have cleared the EDIC, their experience, sort of thing. But if you have no money constraint, there is no harm in attending that. It is helpful. Obviously, it is any course is helpful. So it's a 1 day session is there. You will get it. So this is all about part 1. But one important thing is also there. While preparing for part 1, if you feel that while preparing for part 1 you felt that this topic is tough for me, or this MCQ I have done it wrong, or this topic I am not comfortable, note it down in your personal note. Keep a diary with me. I still have a bigger register with me, so I noted down with pencil that this topic was not comfortable with. Go and read the topic in detail, check the YouTube video. Then once you have you are thorough with the topic, again solve the questions and make sure you are comfortable, because in the exam what will happen, the topics which you are comfortable, you will be comfortable in solving. But the moment something which you are not comfortable and a question pops up in front of you regarding that, you will get a thought block. So you should not have a thought block. You need to remember that these are the tough questions or tough topic for me, may be easy for some, and I need to be thorough with that, and these will make my probability of selection very high. So those topics which you are not comfortable with, read more, note it down in a notebook, revise them every 1 week, get into detail, so that if the question from those topic comes in your exam, you should not be thought block. So this is about part 1. Now coming to part 2. So part 2 is a oral exam, because it's not an MCQ based exam. Part 2 is something oral exam, viva sort of exam. So it consists of, it's a 2 day exam. Part 1 was single day and part 2 is a 2 day exam. So there are two section of it. One is CBS and the other is CCS. CBS means computer based scenario, and CCS means clinical case scenarios. So it's something like same in the EFIC or FCCM. Like CBS means OSCEs in EFIC or FCCM, and clinical case scenario are like e-cases in FCCM or EFIC. So basically, uh, computer-based stations are computer-based. On the screen there will be slides showing you different questions, and you need to answer them quickly. And clinical case scenario, they will give you the scenario in front of the computer screen as slides, and you need to answer them thoroughly. So there are three CBS stations. Computer-based scenario was three computer-based scenario means there will be examiner in front of you, obviously a proctor-based exam. There will be examiner in front of you on the screen. There will be slides, PPT sort of thing. There will be question in it, and you need to answer. So this is a computer-based scenario. In clinical case scenario, what will happen? There will be clinical scenario, and there will be different questions based on that you need to answer. So let's talk about CBS first. So part 2. So computer-based scenario, there are three stations. One is curves, the other is radiology, and the third one is biochemistry. So in the curves, ECGs, then you have different curves like ventilator graphs are there, TEG, ROTEM, or different capnography, different graphs are asked. Then radiology, CT, MRI, X-ray, USG, these will be asked. In biochemistry, lab investigations, sodium, potassium, creatinine, rhabdomyolysis, and different sort of biochemistry will be asked. You need to answer them. So these are the three stations. So how it is done? Approximately there are 12 minutes for each station. Means there are suppose a CBS station of a curve started. So there are 12 minutes. Examiners are there. There are 12 minutes, and they will show you different, ask you 8 to 10 different questions. So 8 to 10 slides will be there, and they will ask you questions. So they will not read the questions. They will present question number 1. You need to read it, you need to interpret it, and you need to answer what is the question which is written there. So there is a scenario, there is a question written there. There are some lab investigations are there, or graph is there. You need to, and the question will also be written there. Right? You need to answer that. So once you have done that, they will move to next one. So examiners are very good. They are friendly. Nobody wants you to fail. They want you to help you, but they will not prompt you. They are very blank faces, just like our FCCM or EFIC exam. So the examiner will just move to next slide. The importance, the same will happen with curves, the radiology, and this one, biochemistry. The key to this CBS station is practicing. You need to make sure you practice a lot so that you are able to complete all the questions in 12 minutes. Most of the people have a problem that they know but they can't utter, or their speed is slow. They are not able to finish the 10 questions in 12 minutes, 8 to 10 questions in 12 minutes. That's the key. So you need to keep practicing. You need to keep practicing. Obviously, what are the resources? I'll tell you in the end. But you need to make sure for computer-based scenario, there will be 3 stations on day 1. The one will be graphs, the other will be radiology, and the third will be your lab biochemistry station. 12 minutes each. There will be different questions, 10 to 12, 8 to 10 questions, which will come in the slides. They will just move the slide. You need to read the question, you need to interpret, and you need to answer the question what is written there. In this, you can go back and forth. Suppose you are on first question, you answered. On the second question, you feel that you are not comfortable, skip. Can we come back later? And go to next. So you attempted the third, attempted the fourth, and suppose you go to the 8th question, and now everything is complete. You can again go back to question number 2. Which, if the time is remaining, you can go to question number 2. So in this, you can go back and forth. You can skip that question. You can just simply say, I need to. Can we move to next? If they say anything else, like examiner, that means something which is there which you have not uttered. They are not there to demotivate you, but if the examiner asks anything else, you are seeing anything else, both in the clinical case scenario or CBS, if they ask anything else, that means there is something on which you can score, which you are not uttering. So don't feel afraid of that. you just think, if is there something which is remaining I can is there. Don't make stories, just to the point. The answer should be to the point, no long discussions or something, like to the point, straightforward point should be there what is asked. So in clinical case, in computer based scenario, you can go back and forth, but in clinical case scenario, on day 2 when they start the clinical case scenario, so how a clinical case scenario is there. So usually there are 3 stations: clinical case scenario 1, clinical case scenario 2, and clinical case scenario 3. So CBS has been completed on day 1, and clinical case scenario will be on day 2. Slots will be given. So they are long cases and short cases. So either it can be a long case 1, long case 2, and 2 short cases. It can be 3 long cases depending upon that year exam. So on the for long cases, what will happen, they will give you approximately 10 minutes to read the scenario. There will be examiners will give you, this is your case, and you will get 10 minutes to read the scenario. In CBS, the computer based, you don't you are not allowed any pen and paper, nothing, pen and pencil, nothing. But on clinical case scenario, you will be allowed, if required, a sheet of paper and pencil, which you need to tell them that I have this sheet of paper and pencil with me. So that when they give a scenario, for suppose a long case is there, so if there is a scenario on the screen, you just read the scenario, see the investigation, note down those points, and then on the sheet of paper you can make your assessment. And when they start, so the viva, after you have finished, after 10 minutes you have understood the scenario, you have read the scenario, then the viva starts, and it continues for approximately 20 minutes, 15-20 minutes. So that on this, now once a case starts, it evolves. So they have 6-7 vignettes, they say in their terminology, like vignette 1, vignette 2. Suppose there is my case was or suppose you there is a case of pancreatitis. So how the pancreatitis evolves, then pancreatitis go to abdominal compartment, then pancreatitis go to renal failure, then pancreatitis goes to CRRT, then ECMO, then post-op counseling, like that. This is the way the case evolves. So 5-6 vignettes in them. The important thing is, you cannot revert back in this clinical case scenario. You cannot go to the next scene as the case evolves. You cannot go back. Suppose the patient develop abdominal compartment, and then you are not able to answer that it was abdominal compartment, and then later on the next session says that, next vignette say that they have inserted pigtail for necrotizing pancreatitis. Now you cannot go back, said, oh, that was abdominal compartment. No, it evolves. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 vignette. It comes in sequence. While in CBS, you can go back and forth like that. So now, uh, based on your computer based scenario and clinical case scenario, there will be markings, and after the marking, the result will be declared. So now, importantly, how the result is declared, you will get a mail that whether you are successful or not successful. So for part 1, there is certain cutoff, how much it varies. So it is not, they use a percentile system, not a percentage system. So out of 100, if some questions are wrong or some questions are difficult, the marks are adjusted accordingly. So a percentile system is there, that whether you are successful or not successful. In part 2, there are 3 CBS stations and 3 clinical scenario. So you need to clear 2 out of 3 computer based scenario and 2 out of 3 clinical case scenario. You should be cleared, so to clear the exam. This is the way it is. Now I want you all to take a pen and paper or pencil, whatever you have, and I'm telling you some of the things for preparations of this computer based scenario which I prepared. So this is my list which I prepared, so you can note it down and make this as a priority. So first of all comes to CBS. So in curves, what can be asked? So in curves there can be ECG. So there can be ECG. What can be asked? So heart blocks can be asked, arrhythmias can be asked, electrolyte abnormalities, ECGs, hypokalemia, hyperkalemia, pacemaker is there, MI, medication overdose, digitoxin toxicity. So these sort of ECGs can be used. Ventilator graphics. On ventilator graphics, what can be used? Autopy problem hai, problem in trigger, cycling, leak, problems with the airflow, peak pressures, plateau pressures, artifacts, asynchronies can be used. Tag rotem graph should be can be asked. Capnography graph should be can be asked. Is there is a tube in the esophagus or in the trachea, or there is a bronchoconstriction or bronchospasm is there, like that. Spirometry loops can be asked. This is a fixed obstruction or variable obstruction, intrathoracic, extrathoracic obstruction, intracranial pressure, ICP monitoring graphs. Auto regulation is there, whether the ICP is high, Lunderberg waves can be asked. ECMO can be asked. In ECMO, what they can ask is what are the changes in oxygenation and pressure changes, what are the P1, P2, P3 difference of different pressures are there, and need to interpret the data like that. CRRT, again, pressure changes, transmembrane pressures can be asked. IBP, early inflation, early deflation, late inflation, late deflation can be asked. CEP, so cardiac tamponade, tricuspid regurgitation, or pulmonary stenosis can be asked. Arterial line graphs, overdamp, underdamp. Pico, Litco graphs can be used, whether the cardiac output is high or cardiac output is low. PAC curves can be asked. So these are the things can be asked in curve section. Now, radiology. In radiology, computer based scenario, what can be asked? So, importantly, you need to remember that they don't want you to be a radiology expert, but they need to make sure that if you are as an intensivist, you are working in the ICU, you need to have fair amount of knowledge of radiology, so that you don't depend on the radiologist or radio department for emergency screening of the scans. You need to get the idea that this is something in emergency and I need to pick it up and what is happening for the patient. So what type of can be asked? So X-rays, obviously, devices, catheters, fractures, pneumothorax, collapse, consolidation, different lines and tubes, positioning of the lines and tubes. X-ray abdomen, if you say IVC filter can be there, large bowel perforation, small bowel perforation, pneumoperitoneum, hemoperitoneum, IVP, lines, tubes, DJ stents, these can be asked. Then CT chest. CT chest में trauma, lung condition, pneumothorax, emphysema, aortic aneurysm, pulmonary embolisms, dilated RA, RV, devices can be asked. Then echo images can be shown you to see the IVC collapsibility or the left heart failure, right heart failure, cardiac tamponage, pericardial effusions, like that can be asked. Then point of care ultrasound, POCUS. On POCUS, you need to identify this is pleural effusions are there, or consolidation are there, pyelonephritis is there, pneumothorax, pleural line, or lung sliding line, free fluid in the abdomen, right and left mid axillary lines, or there is a fluid in the Morrison's sulcus. So these are the POCUS, point of care ultrasound. CT abdomen, what can be asked in CT abdomen? Free fluid is there or not? Intestinal obstruction, splenic lacerations, pyelonephritis, pancreatitis, very important. Necrotizing fasciitis can be asked. CT brain, EDH, SDH, contusions, SH, signs of raised ICP, hydrocephalus, atrophy, ischemic stroke, SOL, post-craniotomy. So these can be asked. Some other things which can be asked is transcranial Doppler. You should read transcranial Doppler. MRI, at least you should have a basic of MRI brain. I don't think other parts of the MRI is asked, only MRI brain, a little bit about MRI brain. So this is something which is asked in radiology section. The biochemistry. So biochemistry, what can be asked? ABGs. So ABG lactate gap can be asked. D-lactic acidosis. These are all things which I have noted down so that it will help you to cover. Drug-induced lactic acidosis, alcoholic ketoacidosis, hyperchloremic acidosis, positive strong ion difference, osmolar gap. Then biochemistry one is TTP, HUS, coagulopathy, electrolyte abnormalities, sodium, potassium, tumor lysis, refeeding syndrome, rhabdomyolysis, endocrine emergencies, Addison disease, thyroid emergencies, hypothyroidism, myxedemocoma, hyperthyroidism, deranged liver functions, CSF analysis, or intoxications. So these are in a few things which I prepared during my exam. Now, how to prepare for these? So these are the list so that while you are preparing for them, try to solve all this. Now, how can you prepare? So there are many books for that. One is the book which is very good is everybody knows is Data Interpretation in Critical Care by Bala Venkatesh. Then OSCEs in the Final FFICM is a book. OSCEs in Intensive Care is a very good book. So there are different books available. Whenever you type on Google OSCEs in Intensive Care, you will get a lot of books. Choose any 2-3 books from them and start reading. ECGs, Amal Mattu's ECGs for emergency physicians, part 1 and part 2. Then ventilator graphics books can be there, are there. One book is totally dedicated to ventilator graphs. So if you all want the list of books, the book which I read, I'll post in the description or comments. If you all feel this video is helpful, I'll do that. Then again, out of all these three, the biochemistry is something which many people feel it difficult, but I'll tell you it is one of the most scoring station. The abnormal values will be written in red in the question, so it will help you to pick fast. Now, clinical case scenarios. So 3 scenarios. Obviously, they can come from any topic, but the point is 3 or 4 cases will be difficult. One can be medical, other can be surgical, one can be trauma. Like the ACE modules will help you a lot in this. Washington Manual of Critical Care will help you a lot. Revision notes in intensive care. The books remain the same for part clinical case scenario, which we have read in the part 1. Suppose you have read revision notes in part 1 and ACE modules, revise them for part 2. It will help you a lot better than reading a new book. 2 websites which I would say will also be helpful is one is Deranged Physiology. It's free of cost. It is basically based on O's Manual of Intensive Care. I felt that it gets updated very frequently. And there is one Australian website, I think it's Crit IQ, but it's a paid one. If you paid one, especially for OSCEs, it has a good collection of OSCEs. And one is I think Crit IQ is there. You can go, and if you want, you can have a paid subscription for that. Now, what type of questions can be asked in clinical case scenario? So they can ask you, summarize the case, what could be differential, what is the immediate management, what are the investigation will you do? Means just like what you are doing in day-to-day practice in your ICUs. This is the way evolve. Now again, for part 2 also, not many courses are available as a mock. We have discussed the books, we have discussed what sort of things are. Again, if you want to practice, earlier on Critical part 2 was not available, but recently for last I think 1 year they have started giving sessions on part 2 also. So what they do is obviously for OSCEs, they prepare the OSCEs and they take the exam. Means there is a examiner and they ask you the exam. They ask, there is a mock is there and they ask you the OSCEs. And there is in clinical cases also there is an examiner is there and they will ask you the question. So you will get an idea about giving the exam. So what all things why mock giving in part 2 is important? Firstly, because we have a different language system, so because I used to fumble a lot while giving the mock test. I used to be more non-specific. One of the examiners in my mock said that I am very non-specific, that I'll check the ketones. What are the ketone levels? I'll decrease the sugars to 50 to 100 milligram per deciliter in an hour for DK. They need to be very specific. Then also you will get to understand the accent of the examiners, because there are different examiners from different countries. So understanding the accent becomes a little challenging. Then you get a habit of giving the vivas, and this will help you to give the exam properly. Now, one more thing which I want you all is to read the landmark trials in intensive care. And when you read the ACE modules, the required trials are usually mentioned there. So whenever you came across a trial in the ACE modules, you note it down on your copy or notebook in a separate section of trials. So what trials, this trial I should know. Not all trials are required, but if at least what are there in the ACE modules, they note down those trials on a piece of paper or a book, and you start practicing why this why this trial was. Suppose like prone positioning is helpful in motility, whether early tracheostomy or late tracheostomy is helpful or not, is there a difference in not, what was the name of trial, so like this is there. So I think I have covered this exam. Now one very basic question is how much time is required to prepare. So I would feel at least I don't say at least, because you may be in different parts of the world, you maybe have a different level of knowledge, you maybe have different set of skills for these exam, but I think 6 months is a good time for preparing for part 1 and part 2. For part 2, basically, if you are doing a daily discussion on your clinical rounds, it will be more helpful in preparing. Like for radiology, always have make a radiology a friend. Have a discussion with that. Show me where is the, how is the bowel you are tracing, why this is pancreatitis you are calling a necrotizing pancreatitis, or like that. So these are things, and try to be specific, to the point. Don't give elaborative answers. What is asked, you just focus on that, like we do in EFIC or FCCM. That's the way it should be. Specific point, specific answer. So these all things, when you give mock test, it becomes easy for you to pick up. So for part 1 and part 2, I would say at least go for any mock series which is there available in the net. Personal, my favorite, or the only thing which, because I'm in personal touch with the teacher and she helped me a lot in clearing this both the exams, is Kritilan. Now, the last part, always remember, it's just an exam, it's not your life. So don't be too much worried for giving any exam. You need to enjoy it, that you have taken a step, that you want to give an exam means you are in a phase of learning and you want to upgrade yourselves. I'll give an example. For part 1, I was not able to clear the part 1 because of just 1 mark. Just 1 mark I was not able to clear. In the second, I need to wait 1 more year and then cleared the exam. Now when I applied for the part 2, I could not get the slot. It was overbooked. I remained in the waiting queue. I could not give the exam. Then after 1 year, means 6 months later, when I applied, so I get the part 2 exam and cleared. So it happens. So, but again, it's a good exam. Out of the all critical care exams available, it's good exam. It's approachable, and if you if you prepare it sincerely and you do a work regularly in your ICUs, it's not very tough to crack. But it will definitely uplift your skills. I will not say skills. It will definitely upgrade your knowledge to a better extent. So this is in short about how to prepare for EDIC part 1 and part 2. And if you want any query or you have any doubt regarding this, you can always ask in the comment sections. So till then, see you. Bye. Take care.